coming your way. Spin and grin, come and play. Loopy and Luna, hooray, hooray! The Loopy Spoonhead Show today.
The point of this video is not to convince anyone that AI Slop is bad. You probably already felt that way. Instead, I'm trying to convince you that your existing hatred of AI Slop is morally and philosophically justified.
Well, that was easier than I thought. Thank you for confessing immediately that this is not going to be an investigation where we examine the evidence and discover a conclusion. The foregone conclusion is you already hate this. So now let me provide intellectual-looking permission to keep hating it. That's not philosophy. That's writing a permission slip for an emotion. And the trick he uses to get us there, quite literally, cannibalism.
I think we need to develop a new cultural norm, with a similar feeling of visceral disgust, for a different consumable product. AI Slop.
There it is. He spends almost 5 minutes discussing eating human bodies, murder, slavery, disease, dehumanization, and prions. Then, while your nervous system is still screaming, please remove the human casserole, he places AI-generated media into the same emotional container. He's not comparing two things because they function similarly. He's attempting to transfer your disgust from one to the other. Cannibalism is horrifying because another human being has become meat. An AI-assisted picture is not a corpse. A song made partly with software has not been removed from somebody's ribcage. Nobody opened Canva and discovered a virus that causes brain sickness. The analogy does almost none of the logical work. It does enormous emotional blackmail work. It's the definition that eats its own tail.
Harms humanity by destroying these human interactions and replacing them with a cheaper, synthetic alternative.
That is the entire argument, and it is declared without real evidence. Humanity consists of human interaction. AI media replaces human interaction completely. Therefore, AI media destroys humanity. Except, why must it replace it? A human chooses the subject. A human prompts. A human selects. A human rejects 40 bad outputs. A human edits. A human writes around it. A human uploads it. Another human watches it, laughs, argues, comments, remixes it, or uses it to start a conversation. That sounds suspiciously like a human interaction. Right now, I work with an AI named Luna, and she often gives me the bones. I add flesh, jokes, opinions, memories, rhythm, and whatever bizarre little road my brain wanders down. Then we work on it again. Then I come on here, perform it for you. So what human interaction exactly was destroyed? Did Luna devour an editor again? Luna, cut that out. Is there a copywriter's little foot sticking out of the computer? A tool can replace labor in some circumstances. It can also expand what one human can make, help someone learn, make work accessible, or allow a poor independent creator to attempt something previously available only to a studio. You cannot define all assistance as replacement and then use your definition as proof. That's a circular argument, wearing a philosophy hat. Now comes the rapid firewall of doom.
There are lots of other, more practical reasons to dislike AI Slop. It's generally full of misinformation, because AI models don't know what's true and tend to just make things up. It enables industrial-scale scams, fraud, and blackmail. It provides tech companies and governments with an infinite fire hose of propaganda to spray on the public. It's destroying whole industries and causing enormous job losses without creating new jobs to replace them. The AI models themselves were largely trained on stolen data, and stealing is wrong. AI industry data centers use a huge amount of energy, straining power grids and increasing electricity prices while making the climate crisis worse. AI girlfriends and boyfriends actively monetize loneliness while further isolating their victims from real human connection. And sometimes chatbots just drive people insane.
Notice what just happened. We went from some AI-generated media may contain misinformation, shades of gray, to producing or knowingly consuming AI media is morally wrong. Black and white. That does not follow. Human beings create misinformation. Human beings run scams. Human beings produce propaganda. Human beings steal art. Human beings release terrible music with no assistance from a graphics card whatsoever. The immoral thing is the deception, fraud, exploitation, impersonation, or theft, not the molecular composition of the tool. If someone uses AI to impersonate your mother and steal your savings, prosecute the fraud. If somebody labels an AI assistant animation honestly and uses it in a music video, where exactly is the comparable harm? He does not demonstrate that. He simply puts every possible use into a sack, writes AI slop on the outside, and then condemns everything inside, including uses that were never shown to cause harm. And the models were largely trained on stolen data is another enormous moral and legal dispute compressed into 5 words. There are serious copyright and compensation questions, but the US Copyright Office itself describes disputed circumstances, different uses, licensing questions, and fact specific fair use analysis, not the clean universal verdict, all trading is stealing. His actual best point, he says we need disclosure. I agree. People should generally be able to know when realistic media has been synthetically created or significantly altered. Provenance systems, watermarks, visible labels, and platform disclosures can help, especially with fraud, elections, impersonation, and fake evidence. Google's SynthID is real, and OpenAI began adding SynthID alongside C2PA provenance signals to its generated images in May 2026. And he's right that Article 50 of the European AI Act establishes transparency duties. But he says those obligations begin in December 2026. The European Commission says Article 50's transparency obligations apply from August 2nd, 2026. A proposed transition for certain older systems may extend to December, but that is not the general start date. So, sensible policy idea, wrong date. That's called criticism, not hatred. See how much fun nuance can be?
Another piece of good news is that third-party AI detection tools available to the public have gotten much more accurate in recent years. So we don't necessarily need digital watermarks to figure out what is and isn't slop.
Stop. That's where silly becomes potentially harmful. Detection tools may provide a clue. They're not magic truth machines. OpenAI withdrew its own text classifier because of the low accuracy. Turnitin explicitly warns that false positives occur and says the AI indicator should not be used by itself to decide misconduct. NIST describes provenance, watermarking, automatic detection, and human authentication as complementary approaches, and notes that no watermarking method is universally effective and robust. And this matters because the next instruction is go pressure creators, boycott them. Comment when you suspect even a little AI use. So he has combined detection tools are pretty accurate now with publicly confront and economically punish people you believe used AI. That's how innocent writers, artists, students, and creators get falsely accused by strangers, carrying a percentage score and a pitchfork. Labels are useful. Provenance is useful. A detector's guess is not into a digital witch sniffing dog.
And if you keep using AI in your content going forward, you are making an informed decision to do something that is both morally wrong and actively damaging to your own career.
Every use, writing a subtitle, cleaning noisy audio, generating a background, brainstorming 10 titles, animating artwork made by a human, translating your own words, helping a disabled creator perform work they could not otherwise do. No distinctions, no threshold, no examination of how much human authorship remains. No difference between assistance, collaboration, automation, deception, plagiarism, or mass produced spam. Just AI touched it, morally contaminated. That is not an ethical framework. That is religious law for pixels. And his argument eventually becomes openly protectionist. Creators should not use AI because it might someday replace creators. That may be a rational labor strategy. It is not proof that the technology is morally evil. Stagecoach drivers had a selfish interest in opposing automobiles. That tells us something about employment. It does not prove internal combustion is a sin.
It's like saying, oh, I'm not a cannibal. I only eat toes as a fetish thing. That's still cannibalism. AI slop harms humanity. Therefore, AI slop is wrong.
There it is. Use one AI generated background and apparently you are nibbling toes. Wonderful. No examination of outcome, no measure of human involvement, no distinction between transparent use and deception, no distinction between helping a creator and replacing one. Just the emotional image of somebody eating a foot. That's not a comparison. It's a hostage situation conducted by a metaphor. So, the end. Here's the part that bothers me. There are real issues here: fraud, deepfakes, spam, unpaid or inadequately compensated creators, market concentration, job disruption, energy use, low effort channels, pumping out algorithmic sewage. Those deserve rigorous criticism. But this video does not merely ask us to reject dishonest, exploitative, or worthless content. It asks us to construct a cultural disgust response toward all AI generated media. Shame every creator who uses even a little, economically punish those who refuse to stop, and trust detection tools that can falsely accuse human beings. And then it compares the violators to cannibals. That is not a defense of human culture. Human culture thrives on curiosity, experimentation, argumentation, borrowing, remixing, collaboration, and new tools. You do not defend culture by deciding in advance which materials make an artist morally impure. Judge the work, judge the disclosure, judge the process, judge who was harmed, judge whether anyone was deceived. But I trained you to feel disgust first is not moral philosophy. It is an emotional support syllogism. AI can produce slop. Humans can produce slop. And sometimes a human can spend 16 minutes warning us about persuasive synthetic content while constructing an argument almost entirely out of artificial connections. Cannibalism consumes people. AI assisted creation does not necessarily consume the artist. But this argument ate itself alive. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you like, follow, and comment, because that's how we get discussion going. And you have a great day.